Well, my kids are sick again. So I'm going to fill in for having a children's story for Marika. So who here, besides Sabine and Sebastian, speak a second language? Raise your hand. You can raise your hand. Okay, good. My problem is I know just a tiny bit of Spanish, and so whenever I get in the operating room and I have somebody that speaks Spanish, I know just enough to tell them a couple basic things. But my problem comes when I get somebody who doesn't speak Spanish but doesn't speak English, and I want to start using my Spanish, and that just sounds really dumb. So don't do that. But as we all know, missionaries sometimes have trouble learning to speak other languages. And this story says that this missionary once heard of a British missionary who's trying to translate an English hymn into Bantu, which is an African language. One line of the English hymn went like this: "Sin dies simply to rot." So the missionary translated it, and the line became, "It is good for you to rot." That was the mistake in translation. And then another American missionary in Africa attempted to translate the line, "I gave my heart to Jesus. How about you?" What a beautiful line. And unfortunately, their translation came out, "I gave my heart to Jesus. What's the matter with you?" So this missionary, whose name is Carolyn, she went to Africa, and she was trying to use the language Kinyarwanda, I think, which is a very complicated local language. And she was taking classes, and of course, when you're studying another language and you make an effort, people will tell you you're doing a good job, right? Because they want you to keep trying. So her heart got a little puffed up in there, and she was thinking, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. And so they were going to have a camp meeting, and she decided to translate a song into this language for the choir to sing at camp meeting. And there was a very old, wise pastor who was helping translate the song. And she decided that she'd translate the last line all by herself. And so she did, and she was very proud of herself. And so after this choir sang in a very enthusiastic song to 600 people at this outdoor camp meeting, this pastor came up and said, "That was such nice music. I'm a little confused about the last line, though. What's it say in English?" And she says, "Well, in English, it says, it's, I believe, so why should I worry or fret? I believe, so why should I worry or fret?" So the old pastor gently explained that the choir had just sung at the top of their voices, "I believe, so why should I throw up all the time?" So what had gone wrong? Why had she translated a song so horribly wrong that everybody was out there scratching their heads trying to figure out what was said? Do you know? What happened? What was the problem with the translation? She was proud. Good job, Annalisa. Pride goeth before a fall, right? And isn't that, even if we're speaking English, have you ever heard of the term, "I put my foot in my mouth"? Have you ever heard of that? Have you heard of that, Noah? No? Annalisa, have you heard of that? Have you heard of that, Enoch? Maybe? Well, the adults have heard of it, and they know that they've done it too. You say something you shouldn't. And a lot of times that's because we let pride get in the way. So we're going to talk today in our sermon about our words. So you guys listen and see if you think you find any instances where pride may cause problems, okay? All right, you can go back to your seats.